because I was keeping the... Are you thinking what I'm thinking? In this video, I'm going to be starting and finishing an entire fantasy series in 24 hours. Let's get into it. But first, I'm already 42 minutes in, and I must say that it has been great. I will say that Frost, the first book that I read from this author, Hiyahh and Crawford, which I believe are two people. I think it's Christine and Nick. But Frost, the first 50 pages, I was like, not really feeling it. The dialogue I just thought was off, but the rest of the book was fine. This one, I'm in it from the beginning, so far it's been great. I just don't think there's anything quite like death as a high stake. And it's spies, which I don't think I've ever read a book with spies, ever. So it's been fun so far. Haven't really seen too much spy action yet, but I'm sure it'll come. Okay, what are we thinking for the lights? I'm thinking Avalon Tower is like, oh, let me just check the Goodreads actually. I was gonna say like blue and purple and blue, but then I was gonna say blue and gray. What I meant is purple and gray. Let's see, Avalon Tower. It's like a gray black. I don't know if I can do black on the lights. Let's see. Let's do Olympics first. Yeah, it just goes, maybe you briefly saw it be blue. But it's straight blue, like royal blue. So weird. Okay, now let's do a new color. We'll call this Avalon Tower. Do I like that more? This is maybe a little fantasy vibe. Maybe it has that. Yeah, let's do that. Something new and something blue. Okay, so far I'm almost 20% of the way through the book. We're gonna be reading for about 2 hours. Hopefully gonna be able to knock out more today. And I will say it's like I said for Frost, 50 pages was a little bit cheesy dialogue, didn't really like it. But this has been smooth sailing. Yeah, I don't even know what the synopsis is, so I can't tell you. I could read you the Goodreads summary. Let's see what it says. Avalon Spy Academy. Spy on the Fae. Resisting fall for your mentor and try not to die in the process. What I'm hoping for on my European vacation is to read books and drink champagne on the beach. Instead, I end up kidnapped by an arrogant, lethal, sexy Fae named Raphael. It turns out I have a magic power needed to fight an evil king. I actually didn't know that, obviously, till I read it in the book. So it happens very early on. I don't know if I want to read more. I'll read more in the voiceover when I'm editing the video. Okay, anyways, back to reading. Also, I would say that one thing that would make it a little bit more believable is if, so she like is like a safe haven. I don't know if that's like, she's like a, what do you call it when people cross over from Latin America into the US and then the people that shepherd them? Whatever those shepherds are called, she's kind of like that. Well, she becomes that. And I feel like it would have been more believable for her to become that if she had an experience in the past, whether it was a memory or whatever, where she regrets not taking action. Excuse me. And so that would make more sense because she just like jumped straight into it, which is great for the plot and like jumping straight into the plot. But it almost was like, how do you go from 0 to 100 without some sort of like regret that might be driving it forward? Especially if that's out of character for you. Like, I don't know, how often do you do something out of character where it's not premeditated? I don't know. That's my only thoughts so far. Avalon Spy Academy rules. Spy on the fae, resist falling for your mentor, and try not to die in the process. What I'm hoping for on my European vacation is to read books and drink champagne on the beach. Instead, I end up kidnapped by an arrogant, lethally sexy fae named Raphael. It turns out I have a magic power needed to fight an evil fae king. Next thing I know, Raphael has enrolled me in an elite spy academy. There, in the ancient and gothic halls of Avalon Tower, snobbery and brutal competitions are among the oldest traditions. Romance is forbidden here. A distracted spy is a dead spy. If we get captured by the fae king, we'll die horrific deaths, and humanity won't stand a chance. Okay, I'm 70% of the way through, and I'm just gonna say one thing. Come closer. Last night, I was reading, and my heart rate hit 96 beats per minute. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm 12% into Vale of Dreams and also 11 hours and 33 minutes into this reading challenge, and I have some thoughts. The first is that Avalon Tower wasn't outright funny, but I did have moments of forceful thrusts of air through my nostrils. I had to take a note of that. Another thing is that I don't know why, but in this series, but also in Divine Rivals, both sets of authors use gods. So it'll be like, gods, dang it. I don't know if that's like a literary thing, like authors just agree not to use God singular. And I think in Divine Rivals it was, or I think it's called Letters of Enchantment is the series name. It was capital G. Here it's lowercase g, but it's always plural. So I don't know. If you know, let me know. But it's interesting. In Avalon Tower, there are just so many relationships and really like ancestry. And I think it's ancestry that just confuses me. So reading Avalon Tower, I felt moderately smart because I was keeping the ancestry straight-ish. But I think that's why I didn't enjoy the lilies, because the ancestry, I just could not keep it straight. Even now, having finished the book, I still could not tell you whose grandma is whose, like whose mom is whose. So I think ancestry is something that I struggle with. And if you're like me, having a family tree or like a diagram would be helpful. So I'm gonna do that for you. So when you read this book, you just come back to this video. I'll have it timestamped for this exact section. So you just watch this section as you're reading to keep it all straight. First, Avalon Tower is Fae and Human Spy Academy. And Mordred, Kingslayer, killed King Arthur. And Mordred and his son Oberon are descendants of Queen Morgan. And Dreamstalker is the Fae Prince, and he is the grandson of Queen Morgan. The Pendragons killed Queen Morgan because Queen Morgan's son tried to kill everyone, and Queen Morgan sent Mordred to kill King Arthur. The Pendragons have Avalon Tower in their pocket, and Tarquin Pendragon descends from King Arthur's sister, Morgoth, and Ryth Pendragon is Tarquin's uncle, who is also the headmaster of Avalon Tower. On the other side of things, Merlin was Fae and an ally to humans. Merlin wore Avalon steel, which was granted to him by Nimue. Nimue also gave King Arthur his sword, and then Nimue offed Merlin. And that's what you missed on Glee. Oh, and all of this is from centuries ago. It's currently present day, and the main character is Nia, and then also Tarquin is in there, and Ryth is in there. So those are present day people. But all the rest of it is just history, and you find that out in the first like 30% of the book. You're welcome. Okay, I'm about 55% of the way through Vale of Dreams, and I have some thoughts. First, I was on Instagram just like looking at the book, because I was like, I don't think I've actually followed C.N. Crawford on Instagram before. So I was looking at the book and wanted to see what some of the book promo was. And I discovered that Vale of Dreams, the second book, has a fake relationship in it. And so that got me really excited to finish out Avalon Tower and then start Vale of Dreams. Now that I've started Vale of Dreams, the relationship is a little different than other fake relationships. And again, if you've like watched the OG videos, you know how much I love fake dating. Anyways, it's a little different than this one, which is also interesting that it was different and float my boat. But I think I just need to read more fake relationship books. But that's one thing. So I'm excited about that. And so far, so good. And then the second thing is that I was on Amazon because I wanted to see, is the first book longer than the second book? And on Amazon, I go to Avalon Tower's page and it says book 1 of 3. I made this whole video thinking that it was just a duology. It's a trilogy. So on Goodreads, it still only shows 2 books in the series and doesn't show anything about a 3rd book. But on Amazon, it says book 1 of 3, and like there's I think it's 2025 release date. I'm a mess, but it's okay. I'm excited for whatever. I can't imagine. I don't know. I'm not far. I'm at page 55. I'm 55% of the way through, so I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Anything could happen in the 3rd book. I don't know. I'm not far enough into the 2nd book to see where things are gonna land. And then the last thing is that at the beginning of Vale of Dreams, there was a summary, which I don't know if other book series do that. The only book series I really read in my whole fiction reading era in the last year has been Divine Rivals, and that didn't have a summary at the beginning of Ruthless Vows. I don't think it did. I think that's the only series. Oh, I've read 24 Hours in Paris and 24 Hours in Italy. That's romance, but I don't think that one had a summary either. So I don't know if that's a thing or if this is just in the arc it does it or what, but I appreciated it because it was like not necessarily like the meat, but definitely the bones, and you like could get up and running pretty quick with it. You just miss out on all of the action and the details make it what it is. But I appreciated the summary, even though I just like within the 30 minutes before finished reading the 1st book. So yeah, I'm 55% of the way and it's just been good. It's been good. I think with sequels, they have to be action-packed. Like prequel or like whatever the 1st book is. Prequel? I don't know. Whatever the 1st book is, it's like setting the stage, tension, like we get what's going to happen. Sequel has to be action to be able to rival the 1st book, in my opinion. And I feel like that happened with Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. Ruthless Vows was just action versus Divine Rivals and more chill, but setting the stage. So, I don't know. Again, I haven't read that many series, but those are my initial thoughts. Anyways, it's been great. And I appreciate when I don't feel stupid reading a book and where the author might leave a gap, but then I'm like, oh, it's probably this. And then later the author will confirm. And I'm like, I got that. Anyways, so far so good. I'm right at about 18 hours. And let me just explain. So last night I was reading and then my mom went to bed, I went to bed, and then I was like, oh, let me just read a little bit more. And then I was reading, and then before I knew it, it was 1:37 in the morning. I was like, okay, I'll put it down and go to bed. So I turned out my light, put my Kindle down. I lay there for like a minute and I was like, no, I'm gonna keep reading. So I kept reading, and don't regret it. It was great. I did stop at chapter, I think 42, so that I could read the rest on camera. Oh, I turned out the light and I was reading my Kindle without the light on. Thankfully, it's the Kindle Unlimited, Paperwhite, something, whatever, so it's backlit. But I was like even a year ago, the idea that I would be staying up till 2 a.m. to read with the lights off on a Kindle, that is beyond me. It's crazy how much can change in a year. Another thing. So anyways, I wanted to read the last 3 chapters on camera. I'm already at the water scene, like the river scene, so I can't imagine how much is really going to change. Because apparently it's a trilogy. So I'm like already like, okay, there's more going to be left on a cliffhanger. Don't know what the cliffhanger, I can imagine what it might be. I imagine it's something to do with the portal. Which I don't think that's a spoiler. But so yeah, I was doing that, and then today it took everything in me not to read, so I didn't even take my Kindle to work, so it's like I can't read it during lunch. And during lunch I was looking for what book I would read after this, now that this is a trilogy and not a duology. And I was just looking, there's just so much to say. Like, I just love fake relationships. I love it. I love it. I love it. The banter. It's so great. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna read the next 3 chapters and then come back to my final thoughts. Chapter 42. Oh, chapter 43. I'm confused. How are they getting through? Oh. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Oh. Vivian. Oh boy. Goodness. The last chapter. Oh boy. Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. Oh. So I finished. Duh. And I started to reread. Anyways, last night I was reading in bed again and I forgot to stop the timer. So we're at 27 hours. We're probably more at like 20 hours. But yeah, it's just Vale of Dreams. It's just so good. And I was really trying to think, why is it so good? And here's a couple of reasons why. So not having to think about the ancestry. Obviously the ancestry was a little bit much for me. It wasn't too much. I think partially because I was writing it down and wanted to like know it in the first book, but it was, yeah, way more chill in the second book. I don't think I second guessed anything in the second book. And so I think having the ancestry down, having, you know, the fantasy, like the magic and all the landscape and all that down helps with just focusing on the plot and like what's going on in the relationships and not being like, oh, who is Merlin? I don't know. Which is also kind of crazy because looking back at Avalon Tower, I'm like, it didn't feel like nothing happened. But compared to the second book, which also doesn't feel like nothing happened, but it's definitely ending not where I thought even the first book would end. Does that make sense? The second book, yeah. So the whole second book was totally out of pocket for me in a great way. But I don't know what I was thinking with this. Thought it was a duology. First book, thought maybe we'd get a little bit further into like the war stuff. And it wasn't bad, but I'm just, I don't think I've read enough fantasy to like know how much can happen in a book. Because it was a lot, but then also I'm like, what happened? I love fake dating and fake relationships. I've said it once, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I love it. And so the banter was just so great. Because basically one person is intrigued by the other person, but the other person is like, you're horrible. It just sets it up, phenomenal banter. It was great. In Vale of Dreams, there's like some key characters. One character has asthma. I love to see that. As someone who had childhood asthma, loved it. It's just so funny that, yeah, I loved it. And then there's another character who is kind of like the one who got away. And so that's fun tension of like, you're the one that got away, but I still like you. And then there's also one person who I'm rooting for so hard, but also I'm like, you're terrible. So terrible. But I'm okay. Yeah. And then I think, I don't know. I hope he finds peace and like knows that he's known, you know? because I feel like I know him. I want to support him, but also like you gotta come around. You gotta chill out a little bit on all this like murder stuff. So yeah, Talon is just the worst, but also the best. But then also, I said this in the Olympic video, but I love when the reader or audience knows something about the characters and the characters don't know. And you're just waiting for it to explode. So there was a lot of that in Vale of Dreams. In Avalon Tower? No, I don't think it really happened in Avalon Tower, but Vale of Dreams, there's like multiple instances of us knowing something that the characters don't know. I love it. So that combined with fake dating or fake relationship, I love it. And then for my questions, so this whole Vale on the lake situation, try to do spoiler free, but how does it appear? How does it disappear? How did they not see it before? Or I guess only Naveen would have seen it or like felt it. But then like, why is it like, I don't know. Why are we just now learning about it? I feel like maybe I'd have to read Avalon Tower again to see if it was like mentioned, like hints were dropped, because that would be crazy if hints were dropped. But that's my thing, is like, how did they not like know it was there before? Like, is it appearing and disappearing, or is it always there but it just was never noticed? Or is like someone putting it there? I don't know. And then another question is just what happened to Lady of the Lake, which again, maybe I need to read Avalon Tower again, but like, did she just disappear? Did she die? Did people see her die? I'm partially thinking that all these people that are dead, besides King Arthur, he's definitely dead, are still alive. I would not be surprised if Merlin comes out of a tree like, yo, what happened to Lady of the Lake? So I actually didn't highlight as much as I thought I did, but I'm rereading it, so I'm gonna be highlighting fervently. But some of the quotes, shrieks like a banshee. There's an amusement park near my house that has a roller coaster called Banshee. I don't know what a banshee sounds like. I imagine it's kind of like screeching, I think is the word. Shrieking, screeching sound, like a dragon, but no fire. But I don't know, that was said multiple times, which is always interesting when authors repeat certain phrases. But shrieks like a banshee. Okay, actual quotes. But if you must know, my father has small dreams and wastes time, which I feel like we all could dream bigger. So that just hit me in a different way. Not like, oh my gosh, that's so good, but like so true. Like so many of us, myself included, we just waste time and dream small, but like we should dream big, you know, and go for it. And another quote, and his canines graze over my throat. Which is just such a vivid image, but canines and grazing and throat shouldn't be in the same sentence. Nia, he says softly, if you want to keep your secrets, you can. Why? Because I trust you. I blink. Strangely, my eyes are misting. Why would you trust me? I don't know. For some reason, I feel like I know you. As we get closer to the city gates leading into, trying to do this spoiler free, I feel it, a caress in my thoughts, the dark silken murmur, is looking for me, and I'm in his city. He's focusing hard, trying to find his mistress. I think just murmur, I don't think I've ever thought of the word murmur as attractive. But like a dark silken murmur, and after hearing that so many times associated with this person, I'm like, yes. Yep, I get it. Anyways, those are not crazy quotes, but just, it's good. Okay, now for my predictions. I have them on my phone. /once. Okay, more fake romance. Always, forever. Every book can do with more fake romance. And then I want Talon to be known, even if he has to ultimately die. But I want him to know that he's known, you know, and he's seen. That's important. And then I think one friend must die. Someone in the friend group's gonna. And then I think Nia's relative will die. I mean, it's inevitable. There's no world where I envision this person not dying. And then I want more Merlin lore. I think this doesn't have to stay as a trilogy. It can be a trilogy with like standalone lore. So I just want to know, because I feel like Merlin, especially, we hear about him through other people's perspective, and like no one speaks highly of him. Yeah, so like I don't need King Arthur's perspective, not even Queen Morgan, but like Merlin, like someone who's like caught up in it. I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. So I want to know about Lady of the Lake and I want to know about Merlin. So it could be a standalone book. I don't know. I just hope Merlin's not dead and that somehow he like from a tree. Like, where is the tree? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I want more Merlin lore. So those are my thoughts, questions, quotes, and predictions. And if you couldn't tell, it's a 5. I'm already rereading it. It's a 5-star. Like, so good. So good. And like rereading the summary of Avalon Tower at the beginning of Vale of Dreams makes me want to read Avalon Tower again. But I think this is my plan. I'm going to reread Vale of Dreams, and then I think I'm going to buy the physical copies of the books before reading the 3rd book, like leading up to the 3rd book. That'll be my plan. I'm so excited. It was so good. So great. Would recommend. So at the beginning of the video, I said I was going to finish an entire fantasy series in 24 hours. So according to Mariah of the past, yes, I did finish the series. But Mariah of present day now knows it's a trilogy and it is not a complete series. So I don't know, win some, lose some. It's a little bit chaotic, but see ya. Okay, I'm sitting here reading just one chapter of Vale of Dreams right before I edit this video that you're watching, but I had to say this. Okay, so this is Tana, or Tana, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but she says on page 35, the streams of time are entangled. They crisscross every which way, stars misaligned, omens misread. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Because what I'm thinking is that the omen, because it is an omen, that House of Morgan will destroy Camelot was misread. Which means all my predictions, throw them out the window. I want Tana and Talon. I want Nia and Talon to be together. And it can happen if the omen was misread. Okay, goodbye for real. Okay, I said I was done, but one more thing. Maybe. Okay, this quote is from page 37. Again, it's Tana. And she says, it's the same as the cards. The war cannot, this is when she's reading the cheese. It's the same as the cards. The war cannot be won here. It must be won in Broceliande. But when I try to find the way there, it just shows the same figure and I cannot make any sense of it, which we know who that figure is. But the war must be won in Broceliande, which means, because in my head I was thinking that the war would make it to Camelot. But the war will not make it to Camelot. The war will be won in Brussels, which means Nia is our heroine, of course. But like, she's winning it in Broceliande. And then the only other thing about Camelot is, what will Mordred do? Could Nia overpower Mordred? Could Nia and Talon and, I don't know, Naveen overpower Mordred through the portal? I don't know. I'm so glad I'm rereading it, because then Tana's predictions have a different weight to it, you know?